Greetings again to all dear students. This is the second session. We are here with the 3ds Max tutorial. Okay, we've reached the point where we will introduce some shortcuts to you in this session. Okay. As I mentioned in the previous session, in the bottom right of the 3ds Max window, there are 8 icons that relate to the 3ds Max scene where the objects are placed. I'll create a box here for an example so we can work with it in this scene. The first shortcut we want to be familiar with is panning. In terminology, it's the hand that appears in the window, and you can move that scene around. And its symbol here is in the shape of a hand, and next to it is an icon that shows one for walking in the scene, and another for a magnifying glass and a camera. And the one above is also a hand, which is panning in the scene. If I click on pan here, meaning if I click down here, it shows me the pan icon down there. And I can pan in the scene by clicking and holding the click, left click. And I pan in the scene. In other views, as soon as I click, it sets my viewport to the active viewport and it performs the pan for me. When I right-click, it exits the pan command. But what's its shortcut? I hold down the middle mouse scroll wheel, meaning I click and hold and then move the mouse. It performs the same panning action for me. And when I release the scroll wheel, it returns to the previous state. Okay, that's the first shortcut. The second shortcut is to zoom in on one of the viewports. See, here I have the viewport toggle maximize, which is the first icon from the bottom right. When I click it, it maximizes my active viewport. And when I click it again, I return to the previous state. However, what's the shortcut? Alt plus W. When you press Alt plus W, you no longer need to click there. The active viewport becomes your main viewport full screen, and then it returns. The next shortcut is orbit, which is rotating in the scene. If I click it from the bottom here, you see a circle that looks like a sphere at the bottom, with a circle drawn around it. When I click it, the mouse cursor changes to orbit mode, and in the active scene, there's a yellow circle with markers on all 4 sides. When you hover the mouse over it, it shows you in which direction you can rotate. I activate the perspective scene and turn it into my active viewport, and you can see that I can rotate here. Rotate. In different directions, but I right-click to exit the command. I can do the same thing by holding down the scroll wheel and the Alt key simultaneously. Holding down the scroll wheel and the Alt key simultaneously. I don't need to click that icon from the bottom. So that's rotating in the scene. To zoom in, just scroll the mouse wheel up and down. And you'll see it performs the zoom for you. I maximize my viewport, and you see I move the mouse wheel up and down move, and it performs the zoom for me. Which down here for us as a magnifying glass and a zoom, all magnifying glass, and also zoom extents selected and zoom extents all selected. These 4 options are related to zoom, and I've put all 4 of them here as shortcuts for you. I'll tell you the shortcut. There's no need to go over them again below, and in other lessons, I won't tell you at all. I zoomed in by performing that action. I expect that from future sessions, you will have practiced these matters and have sufficient mastery. Okay. We can zoom in very slowly by holding Ctrl-Alt and scrolling the mouse. See, if I zoom normally, it moves step by step. But when I hold Ctrl-Alt and scroll the mouse down and move the mouse up and down, it zooms in very slowly for me and very slowly zooms back. When you zoom in and see that it zooms in more than you need at once, you can use this method and zoom in and zoom back to the extent you need. Very well. If we have several shapes in the scene, I'll return it to the undefined. Okay. I'll return it to the 4-window mode, and I want to create a few more boxes here, because I want to show you a specific type of zoom. First point is that always keep in mind that we have a grid in the middle, meaning a grid in the middle which its 0 and 0 is the intersection of these 2 black axes. And any volume we create also has a center of gravity, which it shows us with this symbol, and the coordinates it places locally within it, and shows us where the center of gravity of that volume and shape is. Okay. Now for zooming, we can do a simpler thing in the scene if we press the Z key. Currently, no shape is selected. If I press Z, it brings all 3 shapes in front of me. See, if these 3 shapes are not in perspective and I press Z, it brings those 3 for me. But if one of them is selected and I press Z, it brings only that one zoomed in the scene. See, I select another one and press Z. Any scene that is your active scene, as soon as you press the Z key, it will display that shape for you. Well, one thing I need to tell you about the center and the scene center is that when you want to rotate in the scene and perform an orbit, see, I'm rotating in the scene, and this rotation is happening around a center. If no shape or volume is selected, I'm rotating around the scene's 0 and 0, which is the center of the grids, meaning the intersection point of the 2 black grid axes. I'm rotating. Let me clear this for a moment. This center is exactly here. But if a shape is selected and I start rotating, you must have noticed that it rotates around the center of gravity of that shape. Well, this is about the scene shortcuts. Last session, we said there are 4 labels and symbols inside the brackets in the upper right corner of each viewport. Certainly, you've noticed that regarding perspective, orthographic, top, bottom, front, and so on, and the letters next to them are their shortcuts. Top with T, bottom with B, F for front, and L for left have been set. And next to it, a standard is written, which you can set to high quality. Meaning, get the highest quality from your scene. Or set it to standard or performance. It's usually on standard. In the next section, it tells you how to display it. So one was quality and one was the display method, which here is fact, bounding box, flat color, hidden line, clay, model assist, and other options. Let me explain that first. In previous versions, as far as I remember, I think there were 3 to crochet here, and the names of these are also a bit different. For example, instead of realistic, we have fact here. Or other modes. Of course, in modeling, the most common mode we work with is clay, which is also seen as clay in previous versions. I think that's enough for this session. In the next session, we will move on to volumes, and drawing volumes we will start. I hope you are successful and have good moments. Until the next session, I entrust you to God Almighty.